Sonic Adventure is possibly one of the most divisive games I can think about. People generally love the thing or despise everything about it, with almost no one in the middle. Before I talk about anything else, I want to make some things clear. This is my baseline game for Jank. I do not think it qualifies as good, even for the standards of its time. I have since played other games in the series and understand how drastic of a change it was at the time and how fucking jank it is still.
Thanks, but you gotta check out my newest power supply. Ta-da!
Whoa! A Chaos Emerald!
Okay, so this video is gonna date me pretty hard, but I played Sonic Adventure on my hand-me-down Dreamcast not too long after the console came out. The Dreamcast was an unfortunate failure of a console, the story of which could be a video in of itself. Sonic Adventure was a ton of fun for me as a kid. It had awesome music, spoken dialogue, still a bit of a novelty in '98, and speedy 3D platforming gameplay. It was the game that pushed people to buy the Dreamcast, with an eventual 2.5 million copies sold as of 2006. How is Sonic Adventure as an adult?
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
Okay, how do I put this lightly? It often feels like the game is a rocket that is made of toothpicks, gum, and dreams heading towards the sun. Like, there are collision issues, game design foibles, and much more to talk about, but I'm going to try to break it down into more manageable chunks. The version of the game I am playing is Sonic Adventure DX. The director's cut of the game includes up-res textures and improved models, a reworked Chao system, among other things. I'll start with the presentation. This game came out in 1998 and certainly looks the part graphically despite receiving a facelift. It's from that weird era of gaming where no one quite knew how to do 3D graphics yet, so some things may seem uncanny and the world may seem rather sparse. The main cast of characters has a nice amount of detail work. A cool tidbit, when you gain upgrades in the game, they show up on your character. However, everything that isn't the main character or an enemy tends to suffer. There can be a lot happening on the screen at one time, so it can be easy to lose track of things. Draw distance is often so short that objects and enemies tend to pop in and out of existence. A particular nitpick of mine is the speech animations, in that I wish these horrifying caricatures didn't open their mouths when they talked. No one else of this era did, and it's really apparent why. It's horrifying. The soundtrack is what I might argue to be the crown jewel of this game, and may explain why Sonic Adventure has so much staying power despite looking meh for its time and having truly bizarre game design choices. In fact, you are listening to it right now in the background. Each character has their own theme, each action stage often has multiple themes, and there are some truly killer boss themes. I'm looking at you, Chaos 0 through 4 theme. There's even a jukebox built into the game so you can listen to your favorite tunes. This may be nostalgia on my part, but I still listen to parts of the soundtrack today because it's just good listening. Favorite Song Award is a three-way tie between Station Square Theme of Eggman, and Mechanical Resonance for Final Egg. I also cannot fail to mention Crush 40 and their amazing 90s butt rock intro Open Your Heart, along with performing most of the soundtrack. Overall, good job Jensen Away and crew. There are of course a few drawbacks in the sound department. The game's main title theme is in your face and often overpoweringly loud at launch. Some themes like Tails and Amy sound like generic pop in the face of Sonic's edgy 90s coolness. I also hope you get used to the character themes because they are constantly playing in the background of every cutscene. There also isn't a way to balance the audio or even change video settings for that matter in the game. Instead, you have to launch the config tool to adjust these settings before playing. I get it's a PC port from 2003, but bad is bad, man. Voice acting is a whole category to itself because boy oh boy does it suck across the board. The only two characters who I think deliver their lines well are Robotnik and Gamma. Everybody else tends to deliver their lines in this weird, stilted manner that I think might be intentional, but I really can't tell.
If I'm to continue, I need to change this ship back to its original shape. There must be a switch somewhere on the bridge. I've got to find it now.
The voice actor for Tails is an actual child, so props on that, but the delivery was rather poor. Also, John St. John is the voice of Big the Cat. This little tidbit rocked me when I was doing research for the video. They wasted the talent of Duke Nukem on Big the Cat. How does it play? If I can describe Sonic Adventure in a word, it would be ambitious. Sonic Adventure is actually 6 different games trying to pull off the idea that it's all just one game. The game itself is broken down by character, with each character having their own unique gameplay mechanics and objectives. Each character explores the adventure worlds. They are a series of connected overworlds, which house the action stages, which are the actual gameplay missions. Some are good, some are bad, but I like Speed Highway the most. Sonic is all about going fast and getting to the end of the level. Tails is much the same, only now you are racing to the end against whomever is nearby. Knuckles' gameplay consists of a scavenger hunt for the pieces of the Master Emerald with a hot-cold detection system used nowhere else in this game. Amy hits things with her hammer and hides from a robot. E102 Gamma is a third-person shooter that is actually some of the best gameplay in the game. And of course there's Big the Cat with Sega Bass Pro Fishing. I shit you not, that's just what it is. They added a fishing mode to their game about a speedy hedgehog. Like, what the fuck? At the end of the day, this game is designed for children, so any and all puzzles are fairly easy to solve. The biggest puzzle is often figuring out where you have to go next. Thankfully, I've played this game enough at a young age that I don't have to stop and talk to characters or listen to Tikal the floating orb too often. But to a first-time player, I definitely recommend a guide because locations are far apart and not everyone is very fast at getting around. The camera is perhaps your greatest enemy in the game. It loves to get stuck on terrain and freak out. This caused quite a few deaths on my playthrough. Additionally, the Dreamcast only had one stick, so camera controls are relegated to bumpers on a modern controller by default. The collision detection of this game is perhaps your second greatest enemy and the source of many laughs. I mean, just look at this. This game was shipped and re-released like this. There are bugs everywhere. Sonic's gameplay is what most fans of the series came to see, and I have mixed feelings about it. While it's fun to see your character zipping around, I often don't feel like I'm in control. Instead, I feel like I'm flying around the stage, just barely not breaking the game engine with how fast Sonic is moving. Which, by the way, boy can he move and get up to speed. You really won't appreciate it until later after you have to play some characters with lower speeds. Sonic has the most levels in the game and some of the most fun and memorable ones, but a majority of his levels have the same pacing problem. You'll be speeding along, but suddenly you'll find yourself waiting in order to progress or performing precision platforming. Sonic is able to skip past most of the enemies in the game with sheer speed and maneuverability, making most of the combat in this game outside of boss battles to be pointless. Tails' gameplay mostly consists of you racing Sonic to the next Chaos Emerald or arbitrary objective. The levels are the same as Sonic's for the most part, with the addition of these green rings that send you flying, giving you an edge over your opponent. Tails has the ability to fly, unlike his speedy friend, and instead of a homing dash, gets a tail whip. This is later upgraded into a tail spin with his pretty ribbon and becomes one of the best attacks in the game. It's endless and amazing. Both the Sonic and Tails campaigns feature a plain rail shooting minigame that really isn't all that fun. It was a novel concept back in the day, but it's really simplistic by today's standards. Also, the planes move around way too fast. That's not how planes work, Sega. Additionally, there is a snowboarding level that is actually kind of fun, and you get to do it twice as Tails and the back half of a level for Sonic. Knuckles' campaign, or as I like to call it, Knuckles' scavenger hunt for the Master Emerald shards, is some of the best fun in the game. Knuckles' gameplay encourages exploration and gives the player a different view of the stages. The casino is a rather generic setting in the Sonic and Tails missions, until you realize there's a giant golden statue of Sonic in the center of the room and a blazing pirate ship on another side. The perspective change is very much appreciated as it gets tiring to go through the same few levels over and over again. Knuckles has a nerf version of Tails' flight, causing him to lose altitude way faster. His attack is a 3-hit combo, 2 hits are stationary while the last one makes you stinger forward. The most unfortunate part of the Knuckles campaign is that the levels leave you wanting more. There are only 5 of them in the game. It's some of the best fun besides E102, but we will get to that. Amy's gameplay is supposed to be a series of chase scenes. You are being hunted by the relentless robot Zero, who wants the little bird Amy has. There are some stealth mechanics specific to Amy, but there really isn't a point to them. It's much easier just to hit the robot and run away. Amy has a giant hammer that she can smash things with, or she can use to boost herself once she's gained enough speed. That second part is super useful for encounter skipping. Overall, there's really nothing to write home about, more bland than anything. Big is, Hey, look, a robot. Fine. Big is, as previously stated, Sega Bass Pro Fishing, but Sonic. Your whole objective as Big is to catch your friend Froggy in a variety of pools of water. You can catch other fish, but there isn't any reward for doing so, disincentivizing the player from exploring the big levels, which sometimes have entire areas only accessible to Big. I got relatively lucky in my playthrough because Froggy actually ended up taking the bait more often than not, but I distinctly remember as a child spending upwards of 20 minutes trying to catch that stupid frog in the first level. This is by and far my least favorite part of the game. It is unlike the rest of the game and feels tacked onto a game that has already been pretty stapled together by now. Big can get a variety of upgrades like a life raft that lets him float, a better fishing rod, and some lures to catch fish good. Big is also my least favorite character because he is portrayed as some big imbecile who just hangs around and fishes all day, bro. The character felt really weird as a kid, but it's more insulting than anything nowadays.
Hey, wait a minute! You swallowed my lucky charm! Come back here! What's wrong with you? Something's not right. We've always been friends. For years. Froggy! Wait up! Oh dear.
E102 is tons of fun to play. Gamma's campaign is the other part of this game that is definitely better than it should be. The game is now a third-person shooter and you're on the clock and need to complete the missions before the time runs out. Shooting enemies will add time back to the clock. You start out working for Eggman, but eventually set out to be your own brobot. Gamma also has the most boss fights in the game, save for Sonic, though 3 of those fights are against different color variants of the same robot. His levels are all fairly short, and mostly consist of me pressing the button and wiggling Gamma around to target enemies. Lots of fun, best part of the game in retrospect. No Sonic Adventure video would be complete without talking about the Chao raising system. It's actually kinda neat. You get these little monsters called Chao out of eggs, you give them the animals from inside Eggman's robots. These little animals will make the Chao stats go up. It's a neat system, but unfortunately it's pretty sparse in comparison to the sequel, and this game requires a GBA to run the system properly. Story spoilers from here on in. You've got 5 seconds from here to avoid. All good? Most of this game's story is told via cutscene, and these cutscenes are often hokey at best, terrible at worst.
Why did this have to happen? It's terrible. I must stop this now.
Due to the fact that there are multiple characters who fight the same bosses and each other, it's difficult to figure out what is supposed to be canon. In a way, it's kind of nice because it let my mind go wild as a kid, but as an adult, it speaks of game limitations. The main gist of the story that you need to know is that Eggman is bad, he's controlling chaos, trapping small animals in his machines, and being dicks to those same machines. Sonic and his pals are generally working together to stop him, albeit if their motivations don't exactly align. Through the game, you're going to be guided by a ball of light. This is Tikal. You meet her in a series of time travel flashbacks. She is a part of an ancient Echidna empire that existed thousands of years ago or some shit. The empire is built on war and wants to harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds to rule the world. Tikal wants peace and tries talking shit out, but her dad is a dick and makes his guy attack the Chao because there's some kind of mystical something, I guess. Chaos gets mad and destroys the entire world before Tikal seals him in the Master Emerald. Robotnik is a fool and thinks he can harness his power, but is only betrayed by Chaos in the end. By completing every character campaign in the game, you unlock the super secret final campaign of Super Sonic. There you learn to contextualize most of what I just told you. It's super refreshing to play Sonic again, considering how speedily you can go from one place to another. This last level consists of you running around the adventure field for a bit before having a final boss fight with perfect chaos. The FMV cutscene for this moment blew my mind as a kid. Parts of it are also cut into the intro. This is a ridiculous level of destruction to see as a kid. This big old water monster just wiped out the city. Robotnik brings in an egg carrier and gets team rocketed out of there. Sonic then gets cheered on by unseen bystanders.
Go, Sonic! Yeah, Sonic!
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 Absorbs the positive energy of the Chaos Emeralds and turns into Super Sonic, which is totally not a Super Saiyan. Just saying. The final boss fight is fairly simple. Run fast at Chaos and try not to get hit by anything. If you aren't going fast enough, you won't hurt him, so hopefully don't just veer off course on accident or no damage to go around. If I can give any props to this fight, it's that it does the thing where the main theme plays as you fight, but it's jank nonetheless. Upon defeating... Oh man, this is bad. This is bad. Upon defeating Chaos, he reverts to his original form. He sees the Chao waiting. Tikal explains that everything is cool, bro, and they just leave. Like straight up just Jesus Christ in the sky their way out of there. Then Sonic dips too upon seeing Robotnik and the credits roll. It's the most bizarre ending to a game and I cannot get enough of it. An additional minor spoiler that I'm not covering in this game is the ability to play as Metal Sonic after you've collected all 130 emblems. I don't have any footage of that because that would require me to play this game for many more hours than I already did, but it's a cool little thing they added to DX. In conclusion, this game is incredibly jank, but that good kind of jank. So bad it's good. As I stated before, it's my baseline for janky games, and that might be nostalgia tinged, but eh. Overall, if you're looking to have a wild, nonsensical ride of a video game, then this is an easy recommend. But I would also recommend using a guide so as to make the experience somewhat easier. But otherwise, this game will live on as a relic of a bygone era of gaming, and a testament to how bad Sega fucked up. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later.